Is your victim at the hospital?
Someone shot there.
All right, the ET doesn't take pictures of the, is it domestic related?
Yes, it is.
She's calling back. We're going to try to give her a call again, and then she just added another phone number to the 13-year-old grandson who's possibly with the daughter. Step out with this.
Pretty close.
Crazy sound like comments, but they know that there's no communication. She's the worst thing they've been. Check me 12 seconds, check someone else.
6 level, 217.
Also, still staying for time, no?
Offender in custody?
briefly close.
Good morning, everybody, or afternoon. I apologize for bumping it back all morning. I'm just going to say I don't have much left in my stomach, so I should be good this morning. So I apologize for bumping it back. I just don't feel good. But I am here. We're going to be doing it anyway. And we're going to have a good show today. A lot of good shows today. We got this show this morning. We got Andrew D. Myers hopping up today. We're going to just have some case discussion. We're going to be continuing our show later this evening, I promise. We'll be doing more of the questions and the contradictions. And we got Harsh live today. We got J for Justice live today. All good lives today, so I think it's going to be an exciting day today for YouTube and the true crime community. A lot of good stuff going on today. So I want to say good morning to everybody and thank you for hopping in. I appreciate it again. I apologize for bumping it back a little bit. Ticket number 1, Kib Kitty, thank you very much. And Andrew, you're more than welcome. I sent you an email, buddy, with the link. And I can't wait to have a conversation. We need to have a show sometime, Mr. Myers, about Bloom and Kelly. Megan Kelly? Yeah, that's right. Megan Kelly. I'd like to, maybe we could make it like a multi-part series or something where we kind of go through each video. I think that'd be sweet. Would she have like 4 videos out there or something like that? Skittles, ticket number 2. Skittles Crime Show, 42. I must be number 3. Katrina says ticket number 4, but it says ticket 3. Iris is number 5. You know YouTube. It not only plays games and chat. Look at this. Some of Kib Kitty's messages like disappeared on StreamYard. It shows half of it. The hand is cut off. The hearts are cut off. I apologize. I had to change because live on it. Ticket number. Yeah. Hey, Skittles, since you changed it, did you change the handle? Let me know. In case I need a new link. Golden ticket number 5. Thank you, Mary. Appreciate you. D. Marie, ticket number 5. See, there's YouTube. Also, I have here. Let me get rid of this because it might show up. I did set up a camera, another one too. You guys were asking for the sideways. So I did some work, and let me show you real quick. I don't know how much I'm going to use it today because I'm not going to be mentally on top of my game. Oh, the coffee cup shows up. There we go. I'm not going to be mentally on my game today, so I won't be all, quick. But what else is showing up? What is it? Oh, the light from the microphone. Yeah, see? It shows up. There we go. Did a little bit of work. I still have more to do, though. But for all those that wanted the sideways camera, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Detective Golden, ticket number 7. Thank you. It's just trying to find something that matches this background to match. It's the old background mixed with the new one. So I don't know. I don't know what to do. It's like, what do I do? Paint my desk in green? No, can't do that. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Aaliyah, ticket number 8. Thank you. 49er girl, ticket number 9. Thank you very much. Appreciate you hopping in. Prayers, Aaliyah. Ticket number 10, Diana. Thank you. Speaking of my coffee, I need to wake up. I need to wake up, but I've been up for like 4 hours. Miley, ticket number 12. Oh, thank you. I still have more work to do. I'm not satisfied with it. I still have more stuff I need to work on. Speaking of the man himself, let me bring him up. Ooh, I like that neon in the back. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Getting through there, These sick bugs going around, man. How are you feeling? Are you doing better from your COVID stuff?
Yes, I had COVID right around the holidays, but I tested negative the week between Christmas and New Year's, but my throat is still giving me a hard time, so I can't do my podcast unless Lainey interrupts me frequently, which I've told her to do.
Yeah.
My throat gives out.
Really?
Yeah, it's not a good thing for an attorney.
Right. Wow, that's not still, huh? Same.
Yeah.
Is it the same issues that you were having while you were sick? The same level, or has it gotten better? Or
it's gotten a little bit better, but one of the guys in my office said that his daughter, who's in her 20s, had COVID, and she, even though she tested negative, she still had symptoms for 6 months.
Yeah, there's still people that I know that got it back in like 2020, 2021 that still have problems with smelling and taste.
Yeah, I don't have full smell and taste. I mean, I can taste, but not as sharply as I should, and I can smell, but not as sharply. There was a bad smell in the office the other day. Somebody didn't throw a sandwich away, and it was going bad, and one of the other guys in my office said, "That's terrible. We got to get rid of." I'm like, "What's terrible? What's terrible?" But then when he pointed it out, then I really, heightened my ability to sense, and I could smell it. But yeah, so I can smell and taste, but it's not where it should be. And he tells me that this was his daughter was like this for 6 months.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I tested. I think I had it. I mean, I've always tested negative for COVID, though. Especially like even when it came out those couple years where like everybody was locked down and I still had to work, and I was within 2 feet of somebody I had to work on a machine with. I had no choice, and so we had to be that close. And people, 40 people would be out in 1 week and testing positive, and I'd be working around all these different people going from here to here, because if I don't have a partner, then I'd either get another one or I go somewhere else. And so I'm always working with other people, and other people are testing positive, and I just always continued to test negative. And I felt like I got it again in October.
You didn't test for it? You didn't take a test?
Yeah, I took 2 tests and I got negative both times again. But again, you know, I always, for some reason, I just never tested positive for COVID, even though I would be hit like a truck, you know, with COVID symptoms. I was one of the first that was out. And when I went to the doctor, this was because it was the worst flu I ever had in my life. And this was in December of 2019. And I went to the doctor to come back because I had to make sure I still didn't have the flu, even though I felt like I did. And the doctors then, all they could tell me was that I had a stomach bug respiratory bug, is what they called it. And then a month later, then COVID happened. So I don't know.
Now, I need to take a break. The carpet cleaning guys are gone. I have to go pay them. Okay. I'm sorry. I got to take a break, but I promise you I'll be back. I'll be back.
Oh, you're good.
Okay.
You're good. I appreciate you.
Unscan me.
All right. 1 second. There we go. Oh, what a character. He's a great dude. But yeah, so we're going to be just having some case discussion. And thank you, everybody, for hopping in. I appreciate you. We're going to be having some case discussion. Do me a favor. If you do have any questions for Mr. Myers, #Q. And then that way I can star the questions, and then we can also try and get through them, so I can separate whatever the questions are. I can separate them and keep them in a queue. And then that way we can try and answer those too. But no, I got RSV. What is RSV? Ticket 38, Jackie. Thank you. Appreciate you. Let me go ahead and switch it around. What's up, Moonlight Rays? Did you guys check out that video that I put out this morning early? We did a show last night. If you weren't in the show last night, we did a show last night. And we were kind of going through the video of the forensic team. And, you know, I showed the video again. It's something that we went through a long time ago. Shout out the Inquisitor for the amazing drone footage and for getting this recorded. Because with these two that I kind of mixed together, something on Twitter, can't pronounce the name, I apologize, something on Twitter, and then something on YouTube, and I kind of showed you guys together, and this is the forensic team that was walking around outside and inside of the property, and you saw the fumbaloo as soon as they were getting their gloves on. It's that simple. And how you don't know this, and this is one thing I want to ask Andrew D. Myers too, when you see this shit, this is like day one of your class kind of shit. How? And they proceeded to go into the crime scene. So I'm going to go ahead and do the switcheroo real quick. I'll go ahead and get the video I put up, and I'll share the link, and then we'll go ahead and check it out and give Mr. Myers some time to handle his business. Thank you all for hanging out. I appreciate it. Sorry, I'm still not feeling good, but I will be back tonight for sure. And man, my stomach. I'll be right back. Oh. Okay, so this is the video here, And we'll just go ahead and do this one. Actually, let's just do this one. All right, so this is the video. It is titled the DNA dirty gloves and whatever else is outside of the crime scene, and it's literally just like that. And it's ridiculous. So here's the link to the video that I dropped. Leave a comment. I don't understand how they have a job. I really don't. I really don't. Hold on one second. I think I got my heater on too high. Oof. It's starting to stir my stomach up again. What's up, Knowledge is Power? Yo, it's crazy. the DNA dirty glove, like whatever else, you know what I mean? Because when you see this footage, you're like, hold on a minute, like they just did this. So let me get that ready for you. I'm not gonna play the highlight that I did. You can just click on it and leave a comment. I'm gonna go to the actual footage itself. That way you guys aren't hearing me twice and all that good stuff. All right, so this is from the Inquisitor here. So let me share this channel again. Thank you, Iris. I apologize for not being the chipper, energetic dude I usually am. All right, so it's the Inquisitor. Now check this out, okay? If you haven't seen it yet, there's the link to the drone. This is ridiculous. I don't know how they still have a job. All right. Thank you, Starlight. Starla, I'm sorry. Starla. Starbright. That's a cool name. Thank you. Critical Thinking Cap. What's up? Still pisses me off. Chris M tries to claim the glove he found is the glove. It's not. Well, see, I got a question. Because I thought the glove was okay. So let me go to my footage here, because I gotta ask you guys a question. Because I thought this was in a different spot. So when I'm parked, let me see. Probably this one. Number 45. All right. So when I'm back here, right? Let me get rid of this. So when I'm back here, was he talking about... Good morning, Crystal. When I'm back here, was he talking about the glove being found back here? Like to the right? Or was... Now, when I was watching the show, and it's a shame. I wish they allowed their content to be played, because I would love to go into it. Oh my gosh. I would love to go into their shows, because they had a lot of interesting things to say. I would like to go into their shows, but I'm curious. You good? I'm curious. I'm curious, where this glove was found. So do you watch the Interview Room at all?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah. Do you watch the Interview Room at all?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they're interesting.
Right. The latest video they came out with, they were talking about the glove that he found.
Yeah.
And do you know where this glove was found? I just assumed it was always found in the back here, in the back corner to the right. But when they were talking on their last show, I thought they were saying, I think it was his wife actually that was saying that they found the glove by the parking lot.
In the front.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I don't know. I'm no expert on that. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's what I thought that was found out front. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So no, the glove was on the sidewalk. Yeah, right in front of the house.
The thing I found interesting about the interview room, they did a show. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, and they were talking about how the university president Scott Green wrote a book,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
apparently, have you talked about that? Have you?
Yeah. Yeah. We
Okay,
talked.
all right.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, because it was a great conversation. It's all stuff that we've talked about for the last few months.
Well, I don't know anything about the book other than what I saw in their show, and I was too cheap to buy it because even on Kindle, it's $21,
Yeah.
and there are 24 chapters. The first 23 are all administrative stuff, which
Yeah.
I used to actually know a mid-level administrator at a different university, and so for a guy like that, it would be a really good book because it talks about administrative challenges and overcoming all kinds of problems like COVID or like huge deficits. Only the very last chapter is about Coworker, and all I know is that he said that they were in daily contact. They had daily briefings with the Moscow police, but at the same time, he says that they have no inside information. So those two things didn't seem to go together, did they?
Well, that's crazy because he's always at the press conferences. Why is he always at the press conferences in the first place? I can see you know what I mean? I can see the first one, but that's why I've always thought that there was, especially after I made my trip, the influence of the university was shoved in my face. You couldn't, it was so apparent
Well,
with their influence.
Well, my question was this: early on, the police did hold press conferences. They didn't say a whole lot, but they did have press conferences, and they're all out there on YouTube. We can all watch them. So, if the police did have press conferences, why were they also having daily briefings with the president? I didn't understand that, especially when apparently he said that he doesn't have any information that we don't all have. So,
Yeah.
something doesn't square up. Something
Yeah,
really
he
doesn't
does.
square up about the whole thing.
Crisis. It's a plan of action. Crisis management. It's what he wrote about. I mean, I don't know. I just why are like I forgot his title. The gentleman, Jimmy Neutron with the hair, the guy that is the counselor for the students and the parents. He's even up there. Yeah, the dean of students. He's even up there a couple times, with these press conferences and stuff. And he knows a hell of I mean, come on. They knew what was going on before MPD knew what was going on. They were the ones that were supplying MPD the information. Because I was discussing this before, like students were messaging on Snapchat and other apps, but to tell me that nobody was using university emails, university apps, university any computers, IT can get into that in a second and see every conversation that's going on at a split notice that's how they got all their information.
That's interesting. I actually never even thought of that. So what you're saying is that somebody at IT in the university was hacking into all the student and
no, it's not hacking. No, it's not hacking because it's IT. It's the university's property.
But wait a minute, what you're saying, and I know students. I recently had a paralegal that had just gotten out of a university, and she was still using the university email. But isn't that all confidential? Isn't her emails when she emails me, I'm going to be late for work, or you want a coffee? Isn't that confidential?
No, it's the university's property. The university owns it. So whether it's a computer, they could go in without you even knowing. If there's a phone, if there's a email, if there's a tablet, computer, anything that the university owns, Yeah, IT can
So
go in.
if it's true, and I don't know, maybe you know more than I do. You probably do. If it's true that these kids knew about the crime at 9 o'clock in the morning that morning, and they were all communicating with each other, something's going down at 11:22, and they all knew at 9 o'clock in the morning. You're telling me that the university was privy to emails to the extent there were emails?
They were privy to any communication that the university owns, whether it's emails, apps, devices, any of that. They have complete access to it. Now, and this is why, because they were talking about how they were thinking that somebody within the university was a member that was in these meetings that wasn't sworn in. And when it comes to, I brought it up last night because True Crime with Rosie brought up a good point about how the shock phase statement is something like a medical professional or a counselor would say. And so to me, it was like, well, I already thought that the surviving roommates weren't saying shit to Ellie, and the whole statements in the PCA were just always been odd to me. And so then last night I'm sitting there and I'm taking what Rosie brought up, and I'm like, I bet you the counselors from the school were the ones that were getting all the information. Listen, I understand you're uncomfortable talking to them. You're uncomfortable. We've talked about other things before. You can talk to me. Let's talk. We need to, you got to talk to somebody. So I bet you there was counselors at the school that were then taking that information and relaying that information to LE to give them the updates, because when the university comes out with a shelter in place,
right, as they did,
multiple hours before Ellie even shows up to the crime scene, oh, they knew. And then when they knew something took place, I wouldn't be surprised if the IT department was already called in to start sifting through things to see if anybody could figure out what was going on in chatter, because it's not illegal for them to do that.
Well, that's interesting, because I, of all people, shouldn't be shocked by what you're telling me, because I always tell my clients, no, email is not confidential. When I get a new client, they're given a disclaimer in the very beginning, a warning in the very beginning that emails are not confidential. Attorney-client confidentials are certainly confidential. So if you have anything to say to me, email is not confidential, and so I of all people shouldn't be shocked by any of this. But I had always thought that, and I've known students and had paralegals who were students and former students. I had always thought that there was some, at least, outward veil of confidentiality. I mean, if you have a university, and I still have people that I talk to all the time that they got out of a certain school and they haven't been shut off by the school email system, so they still use it until they are, and that goes on for years. So what you're telling me is that these people should not trust all of that.
I wouldn't. I mean, shoot, just even with like business phones or anything like that, even if you think that's confidential information, you're using a phone from your work, you think that's confidential? No. They can go into your phone records anytime they want to. They can read every text message. They can see every picture that you sent. They can do whatever, because it's their property, so they have every single right to access.
So what do you think the university knows?
I think they know. I think they're the ones that were supplying the LE with the information.
That's just crazy. I mean, I don't know. It's just, I mean, I against my own advice, I tell people, none of this stuff is confidential. Cell phones are not confidential. That goes back to the days many years ago. I was a reporter and I had a Bearcat 50 channel scanner. And even way back then, before cell phones were in all of our hands, the only people that had, what we called back then mobile phones were doctors and rich lawyers, the ones that represent, well, I don't want to say the mafia, so I won't say the mafia, but certain attorneys and certain doctors had mobile phones. And I don't know if you're old enough to remember this. When you bought a car, there was an option to get this great big thing that was the size of a couple of shoe boxes, and it was installed in the car. But in my Bearcat 50-channel scanner, we could hear conversations. Now, was it legal to do that? No. Did it violate, whatever rule? Yes. But we could. It was easy. Anybody in those days could buy a Bearcat 50-channel scanner and listen to mobile phone conversations.
Wow.
And I'm not in that business anymore, and I don't even own a scanner. One of the guys in my office does. But I assume, and I've often told people, if you want to say something that you want other people you don't want other people to know, don't say it on a cell phone, because I do know that cell phones are not confidential. You can people with advanced scanners can scan those frequencies. They're public frequencies.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's the things that people can do with technology, and you don't even have to go to school for it. It's crazy what they can do. They can even make messages and emails look legit as hell, where there was somebody that went to court and supplied fake texts and emails and actually won their case off of stuff that was just created from programs and stuff just to make it look legit. It was crazy.
Well, that's the fault
I'm not
of
trying to say anybody's name, but yeah,
that's the fault of the opposing attorney, because texts are admissible. I actually wrote a blog article on this a long time ago. Texts are admissible, but they have to be authenticated. So for a court to allow texts, they have to be subpoenaed, and there has to be authentication, and you've got to show that it is what it is. It came from Verizon or whatever company, and it came from 5551212 and at such and such a time. And so they all have to be authenticated. So for a bad text to go in is either a failure of opposing counsel to demand that it be authenticated, or
probably
error of the court. The court should never have allowed that to get in without authentication.
Yeah, it's probably the first.
I don't know. Yeah, that should never be. I'm not saying it doesn't happen all the time, but I would, if opposing counsel tried to slip stuff like that in on me, I would demand to see the authentication and the documents from the server and all that kind of stuff. I mean, yeah. I don't know. Did you want to talk about? The latest motion, apparently by Mr. Koberger's attorneys? Now they say they want to unseal some documentation.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you first. I wanted to ask you this because I was getting ready to show. First of all, if you're not subbed to law offices at Andrew D. Myers, definitely go sub. Here is the channel.
Oh, thank you very much,
and thank you for your time as well.
That's me and Laney Law.
Yeah, shout out to her too. Hopefully, she's doing good.
Oh yeah, she's doing well. We usually do our podcasts on a Wednesday, but my schedule was turned upside down, so we're going to record this week's on Friday. So our schedule's all messed up. And then Saturday we're doing a special. I don't want to talk about it too much because it's on a case, and we have a great reporter lined up who's won 3 Emmys. He's one of the top crime reporters in New England, I'll say, and I don't want to say anything more because I don't want to jinx it. But yeah, so we have a special lined up on a case that's going on around here, and I'll be happy to talk to you about that if it happens. I hate to jinx stuff, but anyhow, yeah. So I
understand. When is that? When is that supposed to be?
Oh, we'll record it on Saturday. When we drop it, I don't know because I'm busy on Sunday.
Okay.
There's some stuff I've got to get done on Sunday, but
we'll
drop. I'll let you know.
Yeah, please do.
But now, so about this motion by the defense that they want to unseal this motion. There you have it right there. Yeah, motion to unseal defendant's motion to reconsider orders, denying motions. Boy, that's a mouthful, isn't it?
Right? Say it 5 times. You'll mess it up every time.
Motions to dismiss the indictment and in the alternative for permissions to appeal from interlocutory orders. So, yeah. That's two things they want to. Yeah, the problem with the indictment is that by rules, that's all pretty secretive. It's all secret. With respect to the interlocutory orders, they want to appeal.
So, what do you think about the last two paragraphs here?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question.
Let's see if I can fit them in.
No, I can see.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, what about these last two paragraphs?
Mr. Koberger sought sealing of his filings solely based on email communications with the Latah County Prosecutor's Office, stating they wanted the filings sealed. The deadline for Mr. Koberger's motion was imminent. Thus, in an abundance of caution, the defense filed a motion to seal. Counsel for Mr. Koberger informed the Latah County Prosecutor's Office a motion to unseal was forthcoming. Well, the thing that's interesting to me about that is I misspoke on my podcast a couple of weeks ago. I said I thought that the law enforcement's whole secrecy and motion to seal and motion for the gag order. I said I thought the law enforcement's move in that regard had blown up in their faces, but it was pointed out to me correctly that it was joint. It was joint. It was both law enforcement and Koberger asking for that. So,
yeah,
they've both wanted all of this sealed, and Ann Taylor, for obvious reasons, they don't want to. They want a fair trial, and some of this stuff, early on, and who knows what it was, who knows what it was based on. There's a lot of information out there on YouTube. I know all about it. I know all about the car driving around not the way the PCA. I know about the band field. I know about the tunnels. We talked about the tunnels.
Yeah. It's 2024 now.
So I know all about that stuff, but it's funny that both sides wanted all of this material sealed, and both sides wanted the non-dissemination order. But it is curious. It is curious that now the defense wants to unseal. What do you make of that?
Well, to me, this is how I took it last night. I took it like, to me, it seemed like, and correct me if I'm wrong because I'm not experienced, but to me, it seemed like Ann Taylor. To me, it seemed like Ann Taylor was trying to offer a wishbone. Like, I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna build half the bridge because I want the other half of the bridge so I can get my documents. The ones I've been requesting this whole time. I took it as maybe it was like an act of good faith. We will go ahead and also agree with sealing these documents, just like also agreeing for the demolition of the house. We will agree to do these things that you're asking. Can you give us, and I think it was like a sign of good faith, and then they just got tired of being gaslighted and was like, screw it, unseal it.
Well, should she have to do it? I mean,
No.
The prosecution, by constitutional law and statute and court rules in Idaho, they owe her. They owe her any exculpatory information, and I really don't. I don't understand. Why should she have to bargain with them? I mean, they owe her exculpatory information. I don't know. What do you make of? What do you make of the fact that there's now been 11 discovery requests? I think that's crazy.
That's what I was asking. I'm not saying that she should have to when it came to the peace offering. I'm just, it's a small community. They all go to the same Denny's Saturday afternoons, and they see each other at Walmart on Tuesdays, so I'm sure it was like a little peace offering. Hey, come on, work with me here. I know that you guys are in a tough position. Maybe I know that some of these documents might be redacted or whatever, but come on, I need something.
Well, why would the prosecution want all this stuff unsealed? Wouldn't they want to keep it secret and private as it has been all along? They
want everything, just like with the 11th request. I don't I think you could end up having 20 of them, because I don't think they're gonna. When it comes to these requests, it's like, I always go back to the time when Bill Thompson was sitting down, and Bill Thompson stands up in court, just stands up. And I think he was even sitting in the back during this court hearing. It was very early on. And he stands up and he's like waving a piece of paper and he's saying, Your Honor, how can we provide something we simply don't have? And I think it has something to do with the chain of custody of the sheath. I think it has something to do with the training records of the people that were first in the property where contamination could have taken place. And speaking of that, when I was showing everybody last night, I don't know if you've seen this drone footage, where you have two of the forensic team members pulling up and there's a glove laying on the ground, and they pick up the glove that's been stepped on multiple times and then go to grab clean gloves and put them in their pocket to go into the crime scene.
That's crazy. Real? Whose drone
Have
footage?
You seen this?
No.
You haven't seen it?
Whose drone footage is that?
This is the Inquisitor. So shout out the Inquisitor.
Who's the Inquisitor?
Here's the link, and I will share it.
Oh, okay.
I will share the link with you for the video too, and you can discuss it as well. This is crazy. Okay, I got to take this away from the screen so you can see the glove on the bottom.
Who is the Inquisitor? Just a private YouTuber? It's
a YouTube channel, yeah.
Okay.
And they've had this footage out. Let me see. This was, it's been a year, yeah. This has been out November 19th, 2022. All right. And we started going over it a couple months ago or so, somewhere around there. And as soon as you watch this, it's like, yo, this glove just what? So check this out and let me know what you think. And I'm going to show you something else after this too, because I'm going to show you the video that shows them inside taking photos and doing all the forensic stuff. Now, what I don't know is if it's MPD or ISP. I'm not sure, but I think it's Don Daniels, but I don't have a face.
Do you have
just the hair?
Do you have the actual shot of them stepping on the glove?
Yeah, it's right here. Look, the glove's already on the ground, right? So when they're zooming in, you'll see the lady on the right. Yeah. Her left foot is already on the glove. She's gonna watch. She steps. She moves away. Her right foot was on it. Now her left foot. Let me slow it down too, so you can. This is crazy, man. And then you see what takes place after. I put out a video earlier this morning, the DNA dirty glove and whatever else, while inside and outside of the crime scene. It's ridiculous. You see the blue glove by her right foot.
Yeah, that's
steps
really good.
on it.
That's really good resolution for drone. Usually they're kind of blurry.
Steps on it with her left foot. Now she's still on it. Okay, now the lady on the left, which I think is Don Daniels, but I can't say for sure because it's just the hair.
Yeah.
Now watch. She already notices that the glove's on the ground because she already looked down at it and said something. You could see her motion to the lady next to her. Now she's grabbing clean gloves out of a box. Okay, I know a glove's on the ground, so you're going to do the right thing. You're going to put on a pair of gloves because, you don't want to contaminate your hand. Hey, there's a glove. She just said to the lady, hey, there's a glove.
Well, wait a minute. I hate to be the skeptic, but their gloves are blue and that glove is blue. Did they just drop one of their own gloves on the floor?
I don't know. It must have fell out because the box was sitting on the tailgate when we zoomed in. So my guess is that one of the gloves was just a loose glove that wasn't in the box anymore and fell out on the ground when they got the box out.
So it's now it's not a glove from a suspect, is it?
No.
No, all right.
This is one of their gloves.
Yeah.
So I just think because they were getting all the stuff, laying it on the tailgate. It's already on the tailgate. It was probably a loose glove that just fell. Now she's motions to the lady, hey, there's a glove there. You're stepping on the glove. Hey, there's a glove.
Hey, pick it up, will you?
Yeah, now watch this.
Yeah.
Watch this. Who knows what DNA is on that lady's boots? All right, tosses the glove in there. Touches the bag. Now she reaches for more clean gloves. After touching a glove that was stepped on multiple times sitting out front of the property. And who knows whatever else she walked on in a store or a gas station or who knows.
Yeah.
Even her own. So then she picks up the bag that was just touched with the lady's hands. Now she picks up the bag with those same gloves. Now the lady on the left puts the clean gloves that she just grabbed out of the box in her pocket. Now after that, and I'll go back to regular speed. After that, they don't, still no changing gloves. And now look, they're going to open up their gear and then they're going to start touching everything. Crazy. You have a whole box there. Why are you not pulling off? You just picked up a glove that's been stepped on multiple times. And now you're getting all your gear. And then you go inside. So I'm going to show this. And here's the link on Twitter. Now this, and I can't remember. I think it was News Nation. But I'm not trying to spend 3 hours looking for the video. So I'm just going to share this on Twitter. This is
There's
Thomas something.
Yeah.
So now you'll see. So let me rewind it here. So you see the lady with the short hair. She was on the right-hand side. And I went through this on that video I put out this morning with even more. Now you're going to see, and this is why I don't know. Everybody else is wearing state. They're not wearing anything with any labels. Now look, see, you can see the hair that's up in the bun and it's got the weird shave line on the side, just like the lady right there. So you know those two ladies were not only outside but inside of the crime scene. And when you first show up, the truck's already open. That's probably where the glove fell out, right there. They're getting the gloves out of the bag. Okay, the box of gloves just got put on the tailgate. That's probably where it fell out because the other gloves are just kind of coming out of the box. Lady to the right is just stepping all over it multiple times. I thought it was only 3. It's actually 5.
Do you want to hear something funny?
Yeah.
This morning, the carpet cleaners came to do my carpets in the downstairs. And the second they stepped from the outside to the inside, they put these little plastic booties on their shoes. That's the carpet cleaner. They're not investigators. They're carpet cleaners.
Even Spectrum Cable does it. You know?
Yeah.
Like Spectrum Cable even does it.
Because they didn't want to bring anything from the outside into my horrible floors. But even my horrible floors, the carpet cleaner paid deference to. Thank you. So did these people put booties on when they went into the house?
Yeah, they had to have. I would hope. I don't have video of them walking in, but damn, there's video of them. If this is how you approach a quadruple homicide, how in the hell is that your job? That's like day 1 of your class. Cross-contamination.
I think even the university president in the last chapter of his book said that the city of Moscow, Idaho, was ill-prepared for this. That's the quote. I haven't read it, but that's the quote I heard, was that they were ill-prepared for this. I mean, the city of Moscow, Idaho population is, about 25,000, and about 11,000 are tied to the university. So as some other commentator said, not me, that they're used to getting calls for a dog barking or a cat up in a tree or, drunken kids. this is out of their ballpark. And
Mm-hmm.
even in the little town that I live in, I live in a little town when a horrible thing happens, and thank God we've never had a quadruple murder, and I hope we never do, but there have been some horrible crimes. The local police in my little town know enough, get everybody out of there. They put tape everywhere. They put tape all around. Neighbors are not allowed anywhere near. Even residents of the house are not allowed anywhere near. They know to secure the scene until the Attorney General's Special Crime Unit comes in, which is overseen by the Attorney General, but is actually done by the state police in my state, and that's standard protocol. So I don't know what standard protocol is in Idaho. I've never, I've been through it in the train. I don't know anything about Idaho.
I mean, it would have to be more than what we've just seen. I just don't understand how somebody has that kind of job, and this is how you approach a quadruple homicide. I mean, when
Yeah.
Chris Madonna was talking about how you can't make mistakes, and there's so many pressures on these individuals, and this is what it's almost like the same as BK walking out of his freaking home knowing about cloud, forensics and all this other stuff, digital footprints, and the dude brings his phone with him to commit the crime. Like, it's almost that idiotic.
Yeah. Oh, let me say this about that.
Yeah.
I remember watching most of, if not all of, the Murdoch trial for 6 weeks, and there was a thread that ran through the whole thing of criticism for the way that the police, the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, SLED, handled that case. People were walking all over the scene. It wasn't secured. All the attorneys from Murdoch's office came, and they were walking all over the scene. Other people walked, and there was a lot of criticism of how the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division handled that crime scene.
Mm-hmm.
They still got their conviction, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I mean, life isn't perfect. I'm not defending the police. I'm just saying that life is not perfect. As human beings, we're not perfect. The procedures that were followed in the Murdoch case were not perfect. And the procedures in this case appear to be less than perfect. I mean, far be it from me to, pass judgment. I've never, I have a law school training, but not a law enforcement training. So far be it from me. But, they overcame all of these accusations in the Murdoch case, and they got their conviction. And they may get a second conviction, but that's a different topic for different day.
Right. I'm not saying mistake. I mean, we're all human, but damn, you're not even inside the property yet. You're standing outside at a tailgate of a truck. When you're talking, because I've always said if you didn't have the DNA added to the PCA, you wouldn't have it. So I just say, I just have the saying, if you didn't have the DNA, you wouldn't have the PCA. And when you're talking about the DNA being skin cells, the most protected part of the sheath, the minute amount of it and the type of it, and this is what you see before these people even walk in.
Yeah.
You gotta go, whoa.
On my podcast, and I don't know if I've discussed this with you, but on my podcast, 2 episodes in a row, right after the new year, I believe, we talked about a learned treatise on DNA, and it stated that the touch DNA field is an evolving science. It is not an exact science, and they were saying in this learned treatise that was peer-reviewed that don't let anybody tell you that touch DNA is a solid science, because it's not. It's evolving. And then the next episode, I discussed a couple of different rulings in Connecticut. One of them in which the court actually reversed on a bunch of different grounds, but one of them was touch DNA. The court in Connecticut actually reversed an assault conviction, in part because they felt touch DNA was not reliable. Now, in that decision, there were other factors that went into the reversal of the assault conviction. But at the same time, that court and the other Connecticut case, which we cited, actually cited authority for the fact that you can't really rely on this touch DNA. As you just pointed out, it's such a teeny tiny little sample, and it doesn't provide the certainty of bodily fluids. So I am certain that an attorney on the defense is going to hire an expert, and that expert will, in fact, flesh that out. I'm a little bit nervous about the disclosure, just last week or was it 2 weeks ago that, okay, we got the DNA and we got the IgG, and we're going to require that most of that, not all of it, most of it be sent over to the defense. Well, that's problematical for the attorneys because, all right, you get an expert, they hire an expert, and the expert goes in the stand, and the expert says, oh, well, that DNA is no good. The DNA, in my opinion, based on my expertise and experience and training and knowledge and all of the rest, that DNA can't be relied upon. Well, then he's cross-examined by the state, and the state said, but you didn't see everything, did you? So there goes his credibility in the eyes of the jury. So
yeah. I mean, and when you have, I always go back to when they had the 3 testimonies, witnesses at that court hearing discussing. One of them was Elizabeth Vargas, and the fact that what she said during that court hearing. And we'll get to your questions here in a few. Just keep typing them, and I'll star them. But it was crazy what she said when you listen to what CeCe Moore, when you listen to Vargas, especially CeCe Moore. She's like the top of the tier when it comes to this. She's almost the creator of it in a way when it comes to a lot of the things that are involved in it. And she even states that it's an art. It's not even a science. She can't even call it a science. It's an art because you're manipulating things to create something.
Yeah, exactly. That's what the decisions in Connecticut said. And what difference does it make if it's Connecticut or New York or Idaho? So that's what these decisions. And they cited a lot of learned treatises that pointed that out, including the one that we talked about. So yeah, I agree with you fully. You want to go down to that second paragraph on that
sure.
public? Oh, wait, no, not that. The previous. Oh, I see what you're doing.
One?
All right, yeah, the other one. Because
Yeah, let me see
That's
here.
all right.
The one that just dropped.
I keep going. Back up. Okay, all right. So Mr. Kohlberger moves the court to unseal the proceedings. I hate people that just read this stuff. I'd rather analyze it. Mr. Kohlberger moves the court to unseal the proceedings and filings on the basis that these filings and proceedings are not covered within ICAR 32. And so what I did is I looked up, and there's another citation somewhere in there to Idaho Criminal Rule 6. Interestingly, ICAR 32 is an Idaho Court Administrative Rule. It's Idaho Court Administrative Rule 32, which I looked up, and right in the very preface to that rule, it says, the public has a right to access the judicial department's declarations of law and public policy and to access the records of all proceedings open to the public. And so that's what that rule says. And then it goes on A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and cites how and why the courts should make stuff open. And so I thought that was really interesting. Now, you go deep into it, and to be true, there are exceptions and exclusions and all that kind of stuff. Somewhere else in that document, it also talks about Idaho Criminal Rule 6. And Idaho Criminal Rule 6 tells us all about formation of a grand jury. Interestingly, of course, a grand jury is closed. The grand jurors are sworn to secrecy. But the formation of the grand jury must include 16 jurors, but you only need 12 of them for a quorum. So I forget what the argument was there that Ann Taylor had obviously she and you may know more than me, but one of the arguments was that they didn't have enough of the jurors there to make the decision. But Idaho Criminal Rule 6 on formation of the grand jury says although you need 16 grand jurors, only 12 of them are required for a quorum. So there must be an issue there, though, or they wouldn't bring that up.
Huh. So what do you think? Do you think that? What do you think? Do you think that they just want everything unsealed? Because I don't know. I almost when the judge came out, with and I think you even did a video on it when the judge came out with the ban on Twitter and you can't live tweet during the court hearings anymore, and they're gonna. You can only have your device on for notes and that's it. And you got to be careful what you say when you walk out the door. So it's almost going to be not only censored while the trial's going on because he's going to lock it down whenever, but they're also, I have a feeling like they're going to feel censored when they walk out the door too, because as soon as they mention one wrong word that the judge doesn't like, he's going to get rid of him out of the courtroom, and then they can't report anymore.
Yeah, that was I thought that order, women can't take purses in there.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
You can't go to the bathroom and come back. Once you leave, you can't come back. Well, wait a minute. Hold on. I've had a prostate issue. I'm okay now, but I did have prostate cancer. I did 6 weeks of radiation. But if I have to go to the bathroom, I have to go to the bathroom. And there's a lot of men that are in that boat. There are a ton of men that are in that boat. It's a very common thing. So do you mean to tell me that if you have a job with the Idaho Statesman or one of the other newspapers and you go in there to cover the trial, if nature calls, you're not allowed back in the courtroom? Really?
Yeah.
Because I know that courts don't want disruptions. Courts want there to be order, and rightly so. The administration of justice is very important. And if I were a judge, I would want order in my courtroom, and I would want the focus on the testimony and the witnesses and the attorneys. But, the courtrooms I've been in, if you've got to go out for a few minutes, you can go out for a few minutes and you can come back as long as you're very quiet about it. So I just thought this was a little bit ridiculous. Now, the exception is you're not allowed to come and go during jury instructions. If the jury is being instructed, you've got to be either in or out. But during the whole trial, no. I've been to so many trials, and people are allowed to come and go as long as they are, deferential to the court. So, women can't take purses. Now, I certainly understand great big, huge backpacks. No, of course not. And some women have those great big, huge bags. No, of course not. But you go into the federal courts and many state courts actually now, they have a metal detector and they make you scan in your stuff. So women are not allowed. Well, I shouldn't say women in this day and age. People are not allowed to take a small purse into the courtroom with their little items that they need. Come on.
Yeah. And so that's why I'm wondering, is this, all the gaslighting that's going on, not only to the defense, because they keep asking for the same thing and they just keep gaslighting them. Hell, I was saying back in October, November, that there's this IGG crap, what is going to be a bunch of nothing, and they're just going to get to a point in February or March where they're just going to move on. And I think that's what's taken place now, because with this last paragraph here where it says Mr. Koberger has the right to rule, the right for the rule to apply as it is written, rather than disadvantage him with items remaining sealed that are not within the scope. So I'm wondering, is this something where she was like, I'm tired of the defense getting gaslighted. We agreed with you to do the demo. We agreed with you to have stuff sealed. By then, if I'm giving you 150% and you don't want to give me at least 100 back, well, then we got to just go to zero. Is that, to me, I don't know. It feels like that's where she's at. And And instead of disadvantaging him continually with all these requests over and over and over for the same things that are sealed, well, how about let's just not have anything sealed anymore? Let's make it public. Because if you're not going to give me what I keep asking for, I'm obviously not going to get it. And we need to move on with the case. And so why don't we just unseal everything so then everybody can look at the shit that you're trying to not, I think she wants, I think it almost like they want people to know, like, this is why we keep asking for the same thing, because if you see the same stuff that we're seeing, you understand where we're coming from.
That's interesting. That's interesting. So I guess what you're saying is maybe this will be a chink in the armor. This would be a little chink in the armor that if this is made public, then other stuff will be made public. Is that what you're saying? Is that where you're going with this?
I think a lot more shady shit's going to be obvious.
Don't you think that they want to cover the shady SHIT, as you put it? Don't you think they don't want that to be public?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm torn myself. I don't know. Obviously, I'm torn because, how much of this is it's a legitimate function of the court to have a fair trial. That's absolutely legitimate. And it's absolutely legitimate not to prejudice or bias the jury pool. So how much of it is that and how much of it is to just cover up? Things are screwed up.
Can the judge deny this motion?
Of course. Yes.
So he can deny it.
Yes.
And then what? They have to go to the Idaho Supreme Court next, or what? What is?
Yeah, there would have to be an interlocutory appeal. That's what they're looking for in the whole grand jury allegation that they have. Allegations that they're saying, look, we can't. We brought a motion to overturn the grand jury indictment. You're not allowing us to do that, so we're going to take it to a higher court. It's not an easy row to hoe. It's not an easy thing.
They know this too, I bet. That's why they're playing all these games. I mean, the prosecution, they know all of this is going to... Okay, do lawyers not use time as a tactic in cases? If somebody drags it out, isn't that a tactic? Like... In this situation, isn't it a tactic for the prosecution to continue to drag the shit out?
Well, let me answer the question two ways. Generally speaking, yeah, that happens. Yeah, generally speaking, of course, time is a tactic. In this case, I really don't know. I can't figure this case out. I've read a lot. I've listened to a lot. You and other people. I've listened to a lot of people talking about the case, but I just can't figure it out. So I don't know. I don't know what the game is. I don't know what the tactics or the procedure are. Obviously, the prosecution wants to go ahead and have a trial in the summer. I don't know if that's going to happen. What's your question here?
Mary has a question. I have a question about the camera some students had set up in the back of 1122 King Road that showed a young woman run past it at 2 a.m. This is something that came up a year ago, and it's starting to get traction again. I've been getting a lot of questions the last few weeks myself about this camera. Supposedly, there was a camera set up. They say that they can't reveal the reason why it was set up, but that they turn stuff in for
wasn't it a school club or something like that?
Something like that.
School
and where
project?
where it showed a truck pull up and a girl run, and they didn't want to be involved. I don't know. I mean, and it was on the University of Idaho social media page. So I don't know. I looked at it like this. If they had a camera of anybody pulling up or running or whatever, I mean, and this is a truck. So why would the LE first come out looking for a Sentra, then come out looking for a Hyundai? if this camera shows a truck pulling up and a girl running, wouldn't they be looking for a truck?
Well, of course. But does this video? I mean, there's just so much
But
about this
it's like
case.
2 a.m.
Does this video even exist? I mean, I was in a camera club in high school.
don't know.
Of course, back then a camera was like, you know, it was a whole different thing. But I mean, I don't remember setting up cameras outside of people's houses. I question it. If it exists, why hasn't it been turned over to law enforcement?
Right. And why wasn't it used in because this is something that came out very early in the investigation.
Yeah.
This was like within a month and a half of when the crime took place. So it's been out there for a while.
Well, the people talking about it have been out there, but wouldn't somebody that had video of that nature sell it to one of the networks? I mean, that's what happens. If you just happen to be in the right place at the right time, for hypothetical example, you just happen to be near a plane crash or a fire or something like that, people sell it. People sell it to the highest bidder, CNN, Fox, ABC, NBC, whoever. And those people all buy it. So if that video exists, wouldn't they have sold it to somebody, and wouldn't we have seen it by now?
Or I'm just saying, wouldn't LE have used it in the initial part of the investigation because they didn't have no damn clue what was going on. And they never once asked for a truck. They always asked for information from a car.
So I don't know, and I'm subject to the criticism, oh, Mr. Myers, you don't know, you weren't there. People love to say that. But I question whether that exists or that's just another myth. There's so many myths in this case. They're just, who knows?
Right. Yeah, you don't know there's so much out there. That's why it's important, for a lot of us on these platforms to make sure that we let people know, because a lot of these people take what we say is, 100, and we have to always make sure, like, even with that, that's something that brought up a year ago, and I just could never find anything that would make it to even be a discussion on a show. Really,
I just saw your commenter lecturing me by saying, Mr. Myers, I heard about this and I have some knowledge, and that's legit. Okay, where is it?
It is. Let me see here. Why would a warrant be needed for a Coeur d'Alene forensics lab as well as MPD forensic lab?
Why would a warrant be needed for the Coeur d'Alene forensics lab as well as MPD? No. It should, if you're talking about something that one side has, the other side should be able to get it with a simple discovery request. Unless it's exculpatory, then it should just be produced. If it's a third party, that has nothing to do with the case, only then would a warrant be needed. That's my answer.
Interesting. Let me see here. Miley has a question. She says, what time did they transport the bodies? Does it line up with coroner's timeline? This is another thing with the coroner. She doesn't show up until 5:30. She states in her interview that she's waiting to find out more after the press conference that's supposed to be coming up. And in the same interview, she also says that she had to wait for MPD to be done doing what they needed to do in order for her to be able to show up. I'd never heard that in my life until I heard it from her mouth. I always thought the coroner
takes precedence.
Was one of the first people that were there, and they're the ones that controlled what happened to the bodies. No,
yeah, they run the show pretty much. They have to run the show. They're in charge. I mean, none of what they say can be tainted by what other people say or do. So I agree with you on that. Absolutely.
So I'm not sure. I don't even know when they transported the bodies. Honestly, I'd never saw it.
I would have to go back and listen to her. She gave a press conference or two. I would have to go back and listen and see if that question was even answered. I don't know.
Oh, I want to say thank you to V Slims. I'm going to give a contribution call out real quick. V Slims, thank you for becoming a member. Gifting a member. Hold on one second. Let me call it out. Who got it? Where'd it go? It's not showing me on my YouTube stream. Crap. Where'd it go? Sorry, Visa. Clopenny. Okay, there we go. It's not working on my YouTube there. Appreciate that. Let me see. Is that ISP lab in Coeur d'Alene? I don't know. That's a good question. I would think that. I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not sure where. I think it would be located in a major city, wouldn't it?
I don't know. You'd
Yeah,
think so.
I don't know.
I really don't know.
Coroner is supposed to take control of the bodies immediately. Yeah.
I would agree with that.
And a contribution call out. Thank you, Nina Kelly, for the $2 super sticker, the Tweety Bird shouting hoorah. Thank you. Appreciate that. So I don't know. When it comes to what I showed you, you know, with this glove here. Let me go back to it with this. Whoops. With the lady with the gloves here.
Yeah.
This would have to be used in trial, no? To show reason. I mean, that's reasonable doubt all over the place, I would imagine. You see this take place right before they go in the scene of the crime? No?
Well, they'll come up with some kind of an explanation. It gets back to my booties before. They'll have some kind of an explanation. Oh, well, by the time they went in, they sanitized their feet and they put on sanitizer. But you're talking about when they just chucked it inside the back of the van?
Yeah, and they literally, you have dirty gloves that just picked up a glove that somebody stepped on and was on the ground, and who knows what's on the bottom of their boot, and then you just grab more clean gloves, stick them in your pocket, and you go walking around. If I can't trust you here, how in the hell am I supposed to trust you inside the house?
Well, they'll come up with some kind of BS. Oh, they were just outside, and by the time they got inside, they were observing, the protocols, and the supervisor was there, and they were, being supervised properly, and we bagged it and tagged it according to all the police law enforcement protocols. So they'll have some argument to get around that. Again, remember that there were all kinds of harsh criticisms of the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division and the way that they really botched the follow-up on the Alexander Murdoch murders, but they still got their conviction. So was it right what you just saw? No, of course not. But I mean, they got their conviction because there were other more major issues in that case, and we don't know. I know there are people out there that disagree with me and disagree with me strongly. I read my comments, but there's got to be more evidence in this case. There's just got to be more evidence in this case. There's, it's been said that law enforcement was so, confident in their case. That's why they let the building be torn down. I don't know if I agree with that, but, does law enforcement have an awful lot more that we don't know about? Is there a smoking gun like the Buster the dog video in the Murdoch case? I mean, is there something we don't know that's just waiting to knock all of our socks off? We don't know. We really don't.
Can you show the Tainted glove vid full screen? Your avatar block the top. The top is not anything. It's what's taking place right here. I'll replay it. All it is just vehicles. But here's the link to the full video. I have another question to ask you too. When it comes to what I saw on the interview rooms episode last, and that's one thing I asked them because I saw they were asking questions, and I asked them if they thought 11 was normal or way too many. What do you think? Because I've heard other cases.
11 what?
Supplemental requests for discovery.
Oh, it's crazy. I think
I've heard of other. I've had people come in and say, "Oh, this case had this many and this many and this many," and it's like, okay, but it just doesn't. It seems excessive to me, even though I'm not familiar with that kind of practice. And so that's why I was like, want to ask you, like, what you thought about the 11 supplemental requests.
Well, you remember, I'm a civil litigation attorney. I do
Yeah.
civil litigation. I have done some criminal litigation defense. I always work with other attorneys. I always network with attorneys that's all that they do, because you really do, especially in a high stakes case. So I can't answer your question directly, but I think it's a little bit high. In our civil cases, we generally do maybe only 1 or 2 rounds of paper discovery before we jump into depositions, and depositions is really where all the work is done. So that's my answer. It just seems a little bit high to me, but you should find a criminal guy to respond. I will say this, though. If you're putting my client in front, or threatening to put my client in front of a firing squad, I'll ask 20, 30, 40 rounds of discovery. So I don't fault anyone for asking 11 rounds of discovery. If the trial's not going to be until June, I would ask 1,000 rounds of discovery, because I don't. How dare you say you want to put my client in front of a firing squad in 2024? Give me a break.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned the interview room. The guy I like on that show is Dr. Gary Bricado. He wrote a book called Evil, and before I even got into watching all this stuff, I bought his book Evil, and it's just a fascinating book. I'm not a psychologist. I took Psych 101 in college, and I read Psychology Today, so that's the extent of my psychological knowledge. But he writes a fascinating book about 24 levels of evil, talking about the evil that exists in our society. Oh, it's a fascinating book. And
who is that again?
Dr. Gary Bricado. And I've invited him on to my, humble little podcast. And he said he would do it, but he's always been too busy because he has bigger and better. He makes the rounds to some of the big people. But I highly recommend his book. It's just called Evil, Evil, and it's very fascinating, and it delves into the human thought processes of psychopaths and sociopaths and narcissists and all kinds of people with all kinds of disorders, and maybe how they got there through something that happened in their earlier formative years, maybe how they have deficits, physiological deficits in their brain. It's just a really fascinating book. So that's the thing I like about that show, is that he's a frequent guest on that show, and he speaks, just really honestly about. And they go on for hours, which I can't. But anyhow, speaking of that, I need to move along pretty quickly. I'll stay for a couple more minutes. But I got to move along. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're good, and I appreciate you, and thank you for hanging out. I do have another quick question.
Okay.
When it came to that episode 2, and this is what was crazy to me, okay? And maybe because I'm not familiar with the practice, I never had to deal with exhibits. When I had to learn everything for when it came to child custody to represent myself to get full custody of my daughter, I didn't have to deal with like exhibits and things like that. So it was something that I didn't have to learn when I was trying to represent myself in court. This right here, this is what was crazy to me, is when I heard the interview room say that this is just an exhibit. It's not even the PCA. They did a bait and switch. This is just an affidavit, Exhibit A, from Brett Payne. So I was confused. I was like, wait a minute. I thought this was the probable cause affidavit, but it's just an exhibit of that. So I'm kind of confused. Do you?
Well, yeah, there was a warrant. There was a warrant out to arrest Mr. Kohlberger and to do this crash bang break into his house by law enforcement, and this was the exhibit. It's an affidavit and it's an exhibit. So you have a warrant, an arrest warrant, and a search warrant. You have an exhibit, and the exhibit is an affidavit. So I think we're just playing with words here. I think it's both, because if you go all the way to the bottom, he signed it under the pains and penalties of perjury.
Yeah, that I yeah, I believe or hereby declare under penalty and perjury that the foregoing is true and correct, which you could put shit in there and be like, well, I thought it was true at the time. You know, you could.
I think you and I have talked about that before, and I've talked about that before about the timeline. The timeline makes zero sense, and I'm not going to waste everybody's time going through it again, but the timeline makes zero sense. And so if Mr. Payne goes on the stand, and if what you just said happens, well, I thought that was true at the time. Well, there goes his credibility. I mean, what else did you think at the time that's not true? Was it not?
I go back to when I made the trip and I sat down, you know, because I never really like tried to like write down left and right on what street and this, but when I went out there and I took my footage and I was doing my recording, I wanted to make sure that I didn't have to go back to Koberger's apartment because I missed a right turn here, and you know, so in my mind, and I'm always having like, you know, notes and everything spread out. I sat down one morning and I woke up and I'm like, all right, I'm going to write down, I'm going to look it up. I'm going to turn right on this street, left on this street, you know, just so when I'm driving, I'm not trying to focus too much on notes. It's already up in my head. I'm like kind of doing the route. And as I'm trying to write this route down so I don't make a right turn on a street too late or something, man, it took me forever to try and come up. Like some of these were like, hold on a minute. I actually had to go to Google Maps to then look to see if that was the real street or not, or drive or avenue or whatever. And then actually like look to see if I did go this direction. And I mean, I literally had to like dig into it, and it shouldn't have even been that difficult. Even looking at the map that they supplied, when it came to the route going down south, where is it? When it came down to the route going down south, even looking at this map that they put on and you try and line it up with Google Maps, I mean, that's a pain in the butt too. This drawing right here.
Yeah, you're not alone. Others have dug into this and spent a lot more time than I ever have. And they've taken a look at the maps and they've taken a look at what the PCA says, and they've tried to recreate that. And you're right. You're correct that it's very difficult, if not impossible, to recreate that route. I suspect what happened is that they had an idea and they threw that PCA together very quickly because he was in Pennsylvania, and they knew they had a short window to get him. And so they threw it together. What's exhibit? Okay, so memory says Exhibit A, it would be required to say PCA filed and filing date. This names the document as Statement of Brett Payne, and it does not cite to specific parts of PCA contained. I don't know about that, memory. If you're a member of the Idaho bar, maybe you know more than me, because again, I am not a member of the bar in Idaho. I am licensed only in Massachusetts and New Hampshire. So I do not know that to be true. I do know, as a matter of fact, that a probable cause affidavit can be attached as an exhibit to a warrant. If I'm wrong about that, I'd love somebody to tell me. I really would, because again, I'm a civil litigation attorney and not a member of the bar in Idaho. So I think we're just playing with words to call it an exhibit, to call it an affidavit. An affidavit, by definition, is something that's sworn to under the pains and penalties of perjury. There's nothing magic about it.
Right. It's so confusing because now it's just like, okay, what? Very interesting show. So
all right.
But yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate you hanging out, and love the neon back there. That's an awesome neon.
Oh, thank you. I love it. Yeah. I kind of had it in my mind, and I shopped around and I found it. I love it. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you. I love your new intro. That's fantastic. I got to get an intro like that. That's really nice.
Oh, you got way better transitions and endings and all that stuff. Way better than I do, please.
All right. Good to see you. Have a great day.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Be well, dude.
You too. Thank you. And anybody, here again is the link. If you're not subbed, definitely go subbed to a special friend of the show, Andrew D. Myers, Laney Law. Always a good time whether we're hanging out over there or over here. Yeah, that company email. Yeah, it ain't no joke. And do me a favor, I'm sure he'll be coming back on again in the future. Or even if I'm back on his show, do me a favor, just if you have more questions for Andrew, send them to these locations, and just let me know that it's a question for Andrew, and then I'll go ahead and keep them for next time, or I'll ask him when we hang out on his show coming up. CJ, or what university didn't want Elliot? I think if anybody is on delay, hit refresh. I know that YouTube changed all the rotations. I tried to cut them down as minimal as possible for advertisements, because I went and rewatched one of my shows the other day, and it had literally a 2-minute, even though it was Marvel. It's nice to have Marvel commercials instead of ShamWow and shit. But it was a 2-minute Marvel commercial. I'm like, damn, how in the hell is anybody supposed to watch a show with a 2-minute commercial? So I went ahead and changed the settings. Yeah, he's awesome. YouTube's being a pain. I don't know. I get that. I do hear that the notifications don't go off. So the only thing I could suggest is, this is something from a year ago when they were having this same issue. All I can suggest is just sub again, and hit the bell to all. And that usually fixes it anytime there's any issues with anybody not getting notifications. You just have to do those 3 things, and usually it's all fixed until the BS happens again. So shout out to Andrew D. Myers. Thank you to him, and thank you for your time as well. I appreciate it. Let me see here. Let me see if we have any. What's up, Ghost Printer? Everybody hopping in. Right, Deborah? All right, let me see if there's any new documents out real quick. And then we are going to go into a couple things here before I'm done today. And then I'm going to go hang out at J for Justice's stream. After that, I'll be hanging out at Harsh Live stream. And then after that, we will be back this evening to continue the conversation of what we had last night. I wanted to just have a general case chat show this morning. Instead of continuing it this morning from last night, I just wanted to have a general case chat with Mr. Myers, and just have a general case chat, talk about some other things that we wanted to talk about. Dang, I forgot to ask him about doing a show about Megyn Kelly and Howard Bloom, the whole Megyn Kelly stuff. I do want to cover those episodes. Did you guys watch the Megyn Kelly episodes that were out 3 weeks ago, something like that? 4 or 5 videos. A lot of stuff being said, a lot of stuff from the Howard Bloom stuff. I thought it'd be an interesting conversation that we can have too. Let's see. Let me see. I'm not seeing any new documents. I'm not seeing any breaking news. So let me go to my folder here. Now, there was a couple News Nation videos that came out last night. Oh, now there's only one. They took one of them away. That's weird. And I wanted to share something. I'm going to be having this person on the show. I reached back out to him last night. We'll be having them on the show coming up. It's not going to be anything to do with the case, even though they're from Moscow. And I'm going to share the link to that channel as well. We'll be having True Crime Overtime with Rosie coming up here as a guest in the next couple shows. This gentleman we are going to have on an episode of Conversations with CJ. So if you're not subbed to this gentleman, definitely go sub. I appreciate the opportunity to sit down with this gentleman and be able to discuss his story. His story is an interesting story, and I think the strength that it takes to do something like this is amazing. So I wanted to share this as well during the show today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and share the link. Yes, it's a very interesting video, and I can't wait to sit down. Shout out again. I can't wait to sit down and just have a conversation about a story. I think the story is an amazing story of strength, courage, amazing story of strength. And I think it'll be a very amazing conversation, I think, that we'll end up having when we're able to actually sit down and talk. So I'm going to play this for you guys if you haven't seen it yet. And then we're going to go into a couple other things with the case. And then we're going to get ready for J for Justice's live. She's having a lawyer on her show today, too. So I think it's going to be awesome. Let me see here. And if there is anything that you guys want me to go over in tonight's episode, we can do that, too. Coffindoffer's response. Really? Is it on Twitter or YouTube? And I'll be live at 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern. I'll have the notification out after the show's done. Thank you. I appreciate you, Riddler. Did anyone notice the girls whispering at the Grub truck about JS and ordered their ride share, ignoring him? Maddie told him. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. Always interesting how that ended. You know, the gentleman's walking with them all over the place, and then they just ditch him. So it's always been interesting to me. I could never really say for sure who I thought she said F you to, though. But really, do me a favor. If it's on Twitter, YouTube, send me the link, whatever it is, and we'll definitely check it out. Because I want to hear what she has to say. All right, so this is the video. It's just a short video about this man's story. What a crazy, the strength, you know. And I can't wait to hear more. Shout out to this channel here.
So this is Moscow. This is the town I grew up in. It's a small college town in northern Idaho, and I never thought I'd come back. I spent 12 years of my life in this town, in one very specific community, which consisted of the church that my family went to, the school most of us attended, and various other businesses. So even though the town had allegedly 20,000 people, my world was much smaller than that. It was so small, in fact, that I remember times that I would give friends a ride home from school, and before I got home, my mother knew who had been in my car, because someone had seen it and called her to tell.
It's a great video.
The list of bad experiences I had in this place goes on and on. I'm not here to air out dirty laundry or to provide my take on whatever new controversy may swirl around this town and the people in it. Those have their time and place, and this is not it. However, it is because of these experiences that I have deep-rooted trauma. I was mistreated time and time again by people who were placed in authority over me. Teachers, coaches, pastors, etc. It led me to a point of never trusting any authority figure whatsoever, which, as you can imagine, has caused problems later. I drove by the house that I grew up in. This is such a trip, just driving this road that I used to drive every day, at least once a day, sometimes more. Crazy. It's not fully gravel anymore. Oh, now it's turned to gravel. It was gravel the entire time I was living here. That house did not used to be here. It kind of ruins the out in the middle of nowhere vibe. That's unfortunate. And it's so like vibrantly blue. Ugh. That one too. Oh, there's houses everywhere now. This place used to be empty. Wow. This is so weird. Okay, there's a driveway right next to my old drive. This is, I don't know. This did not used to be here. This whole field is gone now. There's nobody here. There's a fence and everything. Crazy, man. What is that? Is that a goat? What is that thing? Oh, they got lots of dogs. So many dogs. Well, this is the house that I used to live in. Honestly, it's kind of sad seeing it like that. Seeing all the houses built up around it. Like when I grew up, it felt like we were out in the middle of nowhere. Surrounded by farmers' fields, very few other houses around. And then a couple people built some stuff while we lived there, but then now it looks like there's just whole developments, whole neighborhoods going in around it. That's just, I don't know, leaves a sour taste in my mouth from what I remember. Oh well. It is what it is. It's what a lot is happening to a lot of this part of the country. It's just building more and more and more houses. So not going to get upset about it, but kind of taints memories of my childhood. I spend a lot of time with family on this trip. 3 of my siblings live in Moscow currently, and I wanted to really focus on the time I spent with them and with their children, especially since it was Christmas time. I spent time with my sister's family in her little farmhouse on the hill overlooking the city. When I watched as my brother's kids helped their mom with preparations for Christmas.
That's dangerous. I would hold on to it.
Where's it Boris?
Yeah, but it might knock the whole bowl off.
But I also spent plenty of time snuggling with the new kitten that they were trying to name and having indoor snowball fights.
Should we name him Buster Guy? Yes.
We spent Christmas morning opening gifts before going to my brother's in-laws for a feast. So much of this healing happens in situations off camera. Long conversations with people, siblings or old friends, that help me fully realize that what I experienced was valid, and they don't think of me any less for it. They're willing to have disagreements, but not let those affect the relationship, which is something that 10 years ago was not always the case. I had lunch with someone that I had known from my time here, and he encouraged me, as I'm on this healing journey, to find things to be thankful for. And as I thought about that, I realized that both in my time here, throughout my teenage years, and the past couple of weeks, there have been many good things that I had overlooked because of the negative things that I had experienced. One of the best things was the community here. While it had its flaws, it was something that I haven't seen anywhere since living here. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you know that my life in Albania can get very lonely. It's hard to fit in and make strong friendships. That's something that the people in Moscow do well. I'm thankful to have experienced that once. Also, I'm thankful for the education I received there. While much of it does not apply to anything in my current life, I do have a well-rounded, diverse knowledge. And even though I was mistreated by teachers in that school time and time again, it shouldn't reflect negatively on what I did glean from my time there.
I've made the mistake over the last 13 years of associating my trauma with a particular place, because that's where I lived when the trauma happened. But it very likely has nothing to do with a particular place or with the people that live in this place. I can definitely tie it back to a few particular individuals and situations, but to write off an entire town and a region because of that is immature and illogical.
I've realized that not all of my experiences are indicative of the way everyone else experiences this place. Especially now, 13 years later, give or take. This trip was good for me. It was exactly what I needed to be able to release myself from the hold that my childhood trauma had on me. And while this is just the first step in my healing journey, it was the hardest and the biggest one to take. Thanks for sticking with me. I'll be back soon.
All right, I'll go ahead and pause it there. Very interesting. It was a healing. He is on a healing journey. So anybody that, and here's the video. Go show some love on it if you don't mind. Drop a like and leave a comment. There's the link for the video. Basically, because of trauma and anxiety and things, he avoided his home, where he was from, because of the things that took place, and he's on a healing journey to confront those and overcome. And I think it's an amazing story. I want to say shout out once upon true crime, Tommy. Shout out to him. I came across Tommy's video and saw this story, and I was like, wow, what a story. You know, it's got to take a lot of courage to do that, and you know, a lot of risks, especially when you're dealing with anxiety and panic attacks and those things like that. You're talking about some strength. And I thought it was an amazing story when I came across it on Tommy's channel, on his video. And I wanted to reach out to this gentleman and not only let him know, like, I appreciate his strength, but also the story. And just reached out to him and let him know anytime that he'd like to sit down. Even though he's from Moscow, if he wants to talk Moscow other stuff, you know, that's up to him. But I mainly just reached out to him because I just wanted to sit down and have a conversation about his story, regardless. So really, it's about the story and the, you know, overcoming obstacles. I think it'd be a great conversation. I sent you the link to tweet about defense. Okay. Let's check that out. Let's see here. Okay, was it an email? There it is. All right, so here is here's Coffin Daffer's email or post. Is it showing it? Yes, it is. All right. And let me see here. Andy Green, supporter. Oh my gosh, my coffee's like almost full. I haven't been drinking it because my stomach's been tore up today. Dang, I can't believe I've only must have taken a few sips out of it, and it's 2 hours in. I'm not sure, Cheryl. If you just watch the video, he discusses, you know, about school, church, you know, different things, coaches, stuff like that. So I don't know. I know as much as anybody else does when it comes to what was offered in the first video. You know, the story already, you know, you deal with anxiety and panic from things that you experienced, and you're facing them head on. I mean, right from the get-go, it's an amazing story. regardless of whatever the details were. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean the stories, and I even told him when I reached out to him, some of the, even though they're different, not knowing situations, even though they're, different when it came to the stuff that I went through as a kid. I definitely understand anxiety and the panic and associating a place with those things. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely understand what he's talking about. So I think it's going to be, right. It's going to be a great story, regardless. All right, so this is from Jennifer Coffindaffer. It says when you think it could be a positive for your side. Hold on. So let me get this straight, Brian Koberger. When you think it could be a positive for your side, you ask the court to unseal documents and details, but when you think it could hurt your side, such as releasing the brutal and graphic details relating to the horrific crime, you want those documents sealed up tight as a drum? I didn't know that he said that in those documents. No? Did Brian Koberger say in his documents that he thought it could hurt his side, such as releasing the brutal and graphic details relating to the crime? I didn't know that. I don't know. I never read that. Furthermore, you asked the court for a hearing and offered two experts and paid their fees $1,000 by my calculations to argue that there should be no cameras and that no one should be privy to what happened concerning. You want it both ways. Let's see what Judge says, but I don't think that makes sense. All or nothing, and I say, and open it all up. You don't get to pick and choose. Why would you make art without their faces? Why are you generalizing the victims? They don't have a face. You're generalizing the victim. I don't understand that. Why is that? Do the other ones not have a face either? What the hell? Why is you're like so that could be basically your next door neighbor? What the hell? Is that? I don't know. We'll just move on. I don't understand. Well, there's Jennifer Coffindaffer's tweet. So let me retweet it there. Wow, I don't know. Let me see here. Let's go to Twitter real quick. This was a good post. I wanted to share this. I came across. Oh, isn't that funny? It's in response to Coffindaffer's post. No, it was the prosecution, right, Cheryl? They asked BK. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like what I feel. I feel like Ann Taylor was trying to build half that bridge and more. the 150%, you know, because that's what you do. You build your half and then half of the other person's bridge, so they'll try and meet you fucking halfway. That's what giving 150 is. Building yours and the other half of somebody else's. And if somebody still doesn't want to build the rest of their side to meet you halfway, then fuck them. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's where she got. She was like, I'm tired of the gaslighting. Tired of the gaslighting. That's how I approach my life. If I give you 150 and you don't care to build that other part, which like, fuck you, get out of my life. You know what I mean? I ain't got time for it. I got time for people that fucking recognize the 150, because it ain't too hard to give somebody 100 when somebody else is giving you 150. How hard is it, right? So this is from Titus Tatianus on Twitter. As far as and this is in response to Coffin Daffer's post. As far as I'm aware, Anne wanted a public preliminary hearing where all of the facts would have been made public, yet the prosecution opted for a secret GJ. If you want to blame somebody for selectiveness and secrecy, maybe start there. So shout out Titus. Appreciate you on Twitter there. And again, I know I shared it already. Here it is again. Show some love. I hear you, Nina. That's the only reason. I had to keep bumping my live back more and more, but then I just got to a point where I'm like, yep, there's nothing left in the stomach, so I'm going to go. I know I ain't going to, because there's a couple times right before I was supposed to hit live, and I'm just, ooh, yeah. So, all right, bump it back another 10. I do apologize. I'm getting through this sick bug here. I'm still getting through it. We'll be all good tonight, though. All right, let me go to the next thing on Twitter. There's a couple things I wanted to share. Then we're going to go to a couple videos, and then we're going to be done. We got about 20 minutes left, and then I'm going to be packing it up to go watch J for Justice and her episode and show her some love. Let me see. Dirty Gloves. Definitely check out the DNA Dirty Gloves video I put out from this morning. We're gonna go into some Corner Club stuff tonight. Let me see what else. Okay, we went through that. Let's see here. Oh yeah, I wanted to show this. This is from Lulabelle. And I wanted to share this. I had never seen this before. Let me know if you guys have. This is allegedly the night before the crime. Have you guys seen that before? I mean, and I would have to say, because look at Ethan. He's got the same mustache and the same hair as the last picture. I mean, it's the same shit. Let me go ahead and zoom in some more on the cam. It's the same. It's the same hair. It's the same mustache. It's the night before. It's the night. And then there's Hunter. Yeah, I don't remember coming across it before. Or maybe I had it sent to me and it was. Yeah, that's the brother. Yeah. So shout out to Lula Bell on Twitter. Let me see what else was there. 'Cause there's some things that I haven't been able to just kind of show you guys here recently. Let's see. So let me see. More Grub truck. We're gonna get into this tonight and the vehicle. So I want to share this from AG, and we're going to be getting into some of this topic tonight too. So shout out AG, supporter of the show, does great work on Twitter and YouTube, and we're going to be checking into this some more too, because when you watch that, you can see the reflection right
unless you
there.
count the tap on the card. Never use like a phone NFC pay.
So when you pause it, you can see, why is it not larger than that? Does this help? No. That's as large as it goes, huh? There we go. So when you see the reflections right there, that's like AG's stating in this post, that's a Mustang, yo. That's a Mustang that has one of the middle lights on the right side burned out. Oh, Deborah, I'm sorry, you're on replay. If anybody has any questions that you want me to ask, whether I join their show next and I can bring them up when we have a show over there, or when Andrew comes back, do me a favor, send me a message with question for Andrew, and I'll go ahead and make sure that I save them. So that way when we get together next, I'll make sure to ask him. That's a Mustang. That's a Mustang. You can tell. You got the on the back. Now let me go. There's another Twitter post. And I wanted to share this with you guys because you know that Mustang. Okay, where'd that go? It's right around here. Where did it go? Okay, it definitely wasn't 2 weeks ago. Okay, hold on. Sorry, it should have been right towards the top. Okay, I guess not. That's weird. Sorry about that. Let me see here. Shit. Okay, I'm going to go to this video then just to show the picture. All right, 1 second. So here, I'm going to share this. This picture right here. It was on Twitter, but I can't find the retweet that I did. Yeah, this one right here, Freebird. Yep. So that's the picture. So I don't know, when you're looking at that, then it's like, well, shit. I thought I thought it was a 4-door. Right? I thought it was a 4-door, not a 2-door. So then, right, and that's a truck. But I'm gonna share something else. So this is this what was used? I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. I wouldn't think it would be because it's WSU. But this is a white vehicle. And this is from Shonda. Shout out Shonda. Give me 1 second. This is a white vehicle. Could these be white vehicles driving around? That's Cougar Safe Rides. There's no shortage of white sedans. White cars everywhere. So then when you go back to here, let's watch it. Okay, put the car in park because the brake lights aren't on anymore. And it looks like one side is burnt out for parking and not for the brakes. So I'm surprised you're not getting pulled over, man. Your taillight's all fucked up. It don't work when you're not applying the brakes. And when you apply the brakes, it's missing one of the lights in the middle. And with how they like to pull people over and how small the town is, I'm surprised dude didn't get pulled over. Maybe he did. You still see the reflection. The Mustang followed the ride share. Interesting. Please hit the like if you haven't yet. It's the free way to help. Yeah, right, Deborah. All right, I wanted to share that. And give me 1 second. A couple more things. And then we will be done. And I'm going to be heading over to J for Justice. Go to watch that show. She's going to have a lawyer on today. I'll share the link with you guys before we're done. And for some reason, there was 2 videos. And we're going to go more into stuff like we were last night into it tonight. There was... I don't know why News Nation took one of these videos down. But we're going to check this one out here real quick.
We could soon have a start date for one of the most anticipated murder trials of the year. On January 26th, 10 days from now, 2 big hearings are on the docket in Moscow, Idaho, in the case against Brian Kohberger. The first, in the morning, is private. It's a defense motion to toss out the indictment altogether. The defense claims the grand jury process was biased. Defense claims the grand jurors were deliberately shown inadmissible and insufficient evidence. Prosecutors say that's nonsense. Second hearing is public. Yay! And it's a 2-parter. The first one is going to focus on another defense motion about the supposedly tainted grand jury process. And yeah, I know, it's like Groundhog Day. The judge has already ruled against similar motions. So it is highly unlikely that Kohberger is going to see his quadruple murder charges dismissed. But you never know. Second part of the second hearing is all
Ticket
about
120. Thank you,
Ooh,
Yvette.
you got me now. When is that trial going to start?
Ticket
The state has
121.
asked that the trial take place in the summertime. That's when the school is out, fewer people are around. Is the judge going to agree? I'm joined now by Richard Block. He's a criminal defense attorney in Idaho. 429 days ago, this murder happened. Richard Block, what are the chances we'll see a trial a year and a half from the killings? That would be this summer.
I think that really depends on what was in that DNA data that the defense just got. So just back on January 11th, the judge ordered a partial disclosure of the IgG, or investigative genetic genealogy data, to the defense. It really depends what's in that. How long it's going to take them to get through that? What else does that maybe bring up? And I'm sure right now the defense, if they've actually got it in their hands, has got it to their expert, and they're looking through it and trying to figure out what's in there.
Yeah, but here's what I think, which is like, doesn't matter. But I've watched a lot of these things, and it's amazing if you can get a single murder trial into a courtroom in a year and a half, let alone a quadruple murder trial with death penalty on the table and a crime scene that's littered with so many sources of DNA, like the Idaho house was.
Yeah, and we went into it. And again, if you didn't see the video that I put out, please do me a favor. Go check it out, and if you don't mind, leave a like and a comment. It's the free way to help. Let me know what you think. I think it's a bunch of bullshit, and I don't understand how them 2 ladies have a fucking job, and I don't even understand how they had that job in the first place when this is how a quadruple homicide crime scene is being approached. I'll never frickin' understand. Yes, I love the 5.0s. They're my favorite.
Do you think it's...
My favorite is 84 5.0. Yeah, 85. 84 or 85.
possible, even in 2024, we could see this murder trial?
I'd be surprised. I always expect it to take much more time than a year and a half. Like, generally, you would think at least 2 years for any murder. But who knows? Things could go faster. Not being directly involved in the case.
It's going to get dragged on and dragged on.
Yeah. By the way, real quick, does Idaho like to prosecute fast, or is that just, it's too hard to answer that?
I think that's everywhere. All prosecutors like to move fast. They always think their case is best on day one.
Unless they have the goods. All right, Richard, thank you. I'm looking forward to this. I've never looked forward to status conferences or, scheduling conferences, but I am looking forward to this one. We'll have you back. Thanks. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, I think everybody's looking forward to it. Shit. They want to know what the hell's going on. We just have to, hopefully the judge will... Man, I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, when it comes to the judge, I'm pretty sure he's gonna fucking need to look into driver of mess. We're gonna be going into some stuff later tonight. More later tonight. With that too. And there's interesting. There was something about there was like a Bundy video that came out a few weeks that I wanted to show you guys, a Bundy Koberger video. We'll get to that tonight. More about the private driver. We'll be discussing let me see here. The PCA private driver. There's a couple other videos I wanted to show you guys. DNA. We're going to be going through more footage, and then there was something from Nancy Grace I wanted to check out for a little bit too, so we'll be doing that later tonight. So thank you all for hanging out this morning, this afternoon. I'll be putting out a notification for this evening here shortly. And I'm going to head over to J is for Justice to go watch this episode. She's having a lawyer on, so this is the link. And so if you want to come hang out with me in the chat, I will be in the chat. Oop, let me share it real quick. I will be in the chat, hanging out. Real Lawyer answers our questions live. Is the PCA hidden? More conversation about this PCA. Thank you, Andrew D. Myers, for coming out and hanging out on the show. Appreciate your time and everything that you do for the true crime community. Thank you, Laney Law, for everything that you do for the law offices of Andrew D. Myers and the podcast that you guys have. Appreciate you. Yes, I will see you guys there. I'll be putting a notification out here soon. And then we got J for Justice, Harsh, and then we'll be back tonight, 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern. Thank you all. I appreciate you, and I'll see you over there. If not, I'll see you tonight.